right down here. It's a little short because these are aftermarket seatbelts.
All right.
But they're a lot safer than the originals.
All right, guys. So we are taking a spin in the Taurino.
Yes. All right, you ready?
Ready as ever, man.
Yeah, I'll turn my radio off. Need that. Let's see here. Already traffic. Can you believe that?
So yeah, it's just an amazing car, man, and it's kept the inside very well.
It's all original looking. I've got a new replacement dash pad ordered for it. It's supposed to be here sometime next month, so a couple of little blemishes in it right now will be fixed. But that's my next real thing to do is to finish the interior. It looks good, but it's not all period correct because things have faded away. A lot of this stuff is supposed to be really chrome, and that plastic chrome stuff.
Right.
And it's faded away, so it's got silver paint on it now, which looks okay.
Now, is that the original radio?
Yes, it is. That was the original radio. It's a 4-speaker stereo. It sounds good for 1971 standards. It's but today it's
new language in just a few weeks.
It's okay.
I remember the switch going back to my dad when I was growing up with the AM/FM switch.
Yeah. And this has got 4 speakers, and then this is a fader right here. This dial at the very bottom that fades front back.
Oh, nice.
So that's a neat feature.
Runs real nice.
Thank you.
Real smooth.
When you took it out at 42, you know, average speed. Now that might pull that air too.
So does you ever take this out on date night, you and your wife?
We have gone out on cruises before, she and I. Date night, this car's not that comfortable for her.
Gotcha.
She's not much. She appreciates the old cars, but she's not an old car nut like me. So to take her out on a date night would be in a modern car. That would be the thing that would make her appreciate it.
Now, are you adamant Ford guy, or are you into?
In terms of cars, that's my first love. Yes, I like old cars. This is actually one of 2 cars that I have. The other one I have is a 1983 Hurst Olds, which is a neat special low production car that I have. I would have brought in, but I don't have the front seats in it right now. They're getting redone.
Gotcha.
So that's a car they only made 3,001 of those. But I've not done anything to it, but just basically drive it. Try to keep it maintained. I have some original material for it, so if you're going to go out, let me get the seats fixed. So that's what I'm doing.
Gotcha. Now, was your dad a big car guy? How do you end up picking up the hobby?
Well, interesting story about that. I don't really even know who my father is.
Oh, wow.
There's the headline right there. I have no idea who he is. I've never met him. So my mom was a single mom and raised as best she could. And she lived kind of a lived-in life. You know, she did a lot of stuff. She was a rowdy person. So actually, my last name was my brother's father's last name.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So my love for cars, I can't even tell you really where that's from. I do remember that my Uncle Jerry was a body man and a Pontiac dealer. And my grandma used to take me over to her brother Uncle Jerry's all the time and visit and stuff. And I guess maybe that made some kind of impression. I don't know. I just was always interested in cars.
What was your first car?
My absolute very first car I couldn't even drive. At about 12 to 13 years old, my uncle down the street from me gave me a 63 Impala. It didn't run. He said, if you can get it running, you can have it. I was like, all right. He knew I couldn't get it running because I didn't have any parts.
Right.
I didn't have any money. I probably could have if I had those things.
Right.
Yeah, I remember it had a 283 in it. It had a power glide transmission. It was a 4-door with a red interior. The interior was perfect on that car. I ended up selling the car for $50. So that was my very, very, very first car. My first car that I could actually drive was a 1975 Pontiac Ashton GT. Anybody that doesn't know what that is, think Pontiac Vega.
Okay.
So it's a Vega with a Pontiac nose on it. I drove that from 16 until my senior year of high school. I was driving by a used car lot one day, and sitting in that used car lot was a light green Taurino. It caught my eyes. worked out a deal. He traded me my Pontiac for that car, and I had to come up with $140 cash to make the difference up. I was working at Hardee's at the time, making like $50 a week. I gave him $20 a week until I paid him off.
So you've been in the Taurinos ever since high school?
Ever since high school, yeah. Got out of it for a little while, but always carried a flame. So I had a Taurino before this one. I had a '69 Taurino. That was the first car I restored, and that I learned a lot about car restoration with that car. I ended up getting rid of that, bought the Oldsmobile, and I had this car in the works when I had the '69. So I figured I got one Taurino. I got the one Taurino I really wanted, which is this one. I got rid of that '69 Taurino, bought the Oldsmobile. So my garage is really set up like this: a car that I had in high school, so to speak, and a car I always wanted in high school.
That's great, man.
So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I just thought they're awesome.
And your son picked it up, right? Like,
Oh, he's a car nut too. Yeah. He's telling me the other day he wants to find himself an old Fairlane to make a race car out of it.
oh wow.
Yeah. Right now he's got a 2011 Crown Victoria ex-New Jersey State Police car, and he's done a little bit of work too.
Yeah, my son has a old police car, and still with the paint work and everything on it.
But
Makes
it's-
everybody go to the right lane.
Oh yeah, he loves the fact that he can get people to get out of his way. He's got the car lower. He's got Mustang wheels on it. He's got a Mustang Mach 1 front chin spoiler, which surprisingly fits perfect on that car. He's got a Marauder tail spoiler on it, and he's modified the transmission, modified the engine management system, so it runs a lot better now. And it's got a 410 rear end. So the car moves and freaking scoots.
That's great.
Yeah, he's a car nut too. He actually works in the car business also. As well as being a volunteer fireman and a part-time guitar player. He's also into a body shop over in Woodbury. He's at a Ford dealer.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, he got it honest.
Busy guy.
Yep.
But, so what came first? Cars or music?
Well, here's all I can say about that. I remember probably being probably 3 or 4 years old and watching the Johnny Cash variety TV show that used to be on TV. I don't know if anybody remembers that or not. I barely remember it. I ended up watching, of course, rerun episodes of it on YouTube and all that. But I remember being a really little kid and my grandmother watching it. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. And she would watch that show, and I would just be enamored with Johnny Cash. I remember being told, as well as a very, very big memory of walking around the house with my little toy guitar strapped on my back, like Johnny Cash would often do. And I just have always loved Johnny Cash's music. I also remember being able to identify cars by year and model as little as, I don't even know, I remember standing up in the front seat. You know, back in those days, as a little kid to stand up in the front seat. I remember identifying cars at that age. And so I don't know which really came first, but they've just always been a part of who I am. I think if somebody analyzed my DNA, they would see a guitar on one part of it and a car on the other part of it. So it's hard to say.
Man, I'll tell you, talking Johnny Cash, man, I'm a big fan of Cash myself, and the one song that absolutely astounds me is I've Been Everywhere.
Oh, that's a great tune.
Just how he was able to actually remember the lyrics as quick as that song goes.
That's just crazy that he can do that. I have a hard time remembering the lyrics that I wrote. I don't know. I think that, don't have anybody yell at me if I'm wrong about this, but I think that Michelle Silverstein that wrote those lyrics.
Really?
I could be wrong, but I thought it might have been.
I mean, it could be.
Whoever knows, correct me on that, but I don't know who wrote it, but I'm pretty sure he didn't write it. So my point is, he had to remember one.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
And so, yeah, dude, this nice pickup, man.
It's a great cruiser. It's not going to win a lot of drag races.
Right.
But you know what? You're going to get out there and you're going to get on the highway and you're going to roll. You can just enjoy life. That's what, to me, what it's all about. I could have very easily made this a race car, but that's not enjoyable to me when I just like to drive around.
Gotcha. You're more into the style of it.
More of what the car was actually built for, which is to get in and drive simplicity.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I'm not putting effort in it. I'm just tooling along here.
True Americana.
Yeah. I didn't mention, we were talking about some of the things that I've done I did to it. Actually, you asked me what the last thing I did to the car was. So the reality is the last thing I did to this car was not the transmission. I forgot. The last thing I did to this car is I added cruise control.
Now, what's involved in that?
Well, for me on this car, I actually got a kit off eBay. It was a Ford accessory kit for an 84 or 85 Ford Escort. The dealership would put cruise control on an Escort or whatever car back then. They would get a kit from the parts department. I bought that kit and I made it work with this car. So it's a matter of just finding a place to put the actuator and then wiring it up and hooking it up to the throttle. I got the controls right here on my turn signal stock.
Oh, wow.
And then brake switch down there to disengage it.
Is it a long job?
It took me a better part of a day to figure it out and then install it because again, it wasn't made for this car.
Right.
So I had to make it work, and it does. It's pretty cool. So actually, that was the last thing I did to the car.
That's great, man. Like you were saying, as far as just cruise, being able to set that cruise control. So, how was Route 66?
It was phenomenal. I wish I could have spent more time on it. It was it's something that everybody, if they're into sort of Americana in any way, they should definitely do.
I mean, I go back because of the music. I mean,
well, the music is inspired by what was going on that road. No other road from Chicago to LA. I was only on about a 60-mile strip of it in Missouri. I got all the way to Carthage, Missouri on it. My buddy, we had actually planned on taking the cars from here all the way to Needles, California. Wow. And then come back to our club show. I had some problem. My mom passed away, so I couldn't do that part of it. Once everything was kind of settled, I did take off for the trip. We get out there, and then one of our day excursions, we took it out that roughly 60 miles or so, almost to Kansas, and then go back. It was just so cool, the things you could see, the things that were left remaining there, the old bridges and the old stores. It's just a phenomenal thing. If you got any sort of imagination or appreciation for American history, particularly 20th century history, it's just awesome. We're planning on next year doing the trip, going from basically Illinois all the way to California, and then shooting up north in California up to Reno, Nevada. Because our show next year is in Reno, so that's kind of what we're thinking about doing next year.
hey, man, you got a big enough trunk, though. I'll take a ride with you.
There you go. There's stuff in the trunk.
But yeah, man. I mean, they still have live music out there. I mean, during normal times on Route 66.
Yeah, I didn't see any myself, but I think they still do stuff out there. Yeah, there's still venues that do things. The whole COVID thing this year has thrown everything. Yeah, it knows what things going on, what's going to happen, or anything. Who knows what's going to happen with live music? I mean, I'd love to be able to plan in terms of route, be able to plan some sort of summer event, summer short tour, go someplace with the band kind of thing next year. But how can you do that when you don't know what's going to happen?
I mean, I'll tell you, I think the upcoming event that you guys are going to be part of, with Jam on the Jam, is going to be a great event that's able to socially distance and still maintain a good live show. Any thoughts on the drive-in shows that they're doing now?
You talking about like the Sunset Bank Park kind of thing? I don't know what to think about that. I think it's a nice effort, but you're going to pay to sit in your car and watch a video screen. I can see that for a movie. Yeah, I don't know if I feel that same way about seeing a live act. Put the live act on the stage in front of me in my car, maybe that's better. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough thing to think about. I'm not sure. It doesn't set well with me, I can say that. But I do appreciate the effort involved in trying to do something.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not supposed to rain today. I looked at the weather and said, no chance of rain today. effect of the rain makes the AC cold.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Water on the condenser comes off.
But yeah, man, really, really nice, smooth ride. Anybody out there looking to get into restoration or things along that line, where should they start? What do you think?
Well, if they've never messed around with cars before and they want to get into it, that's a pretty tall order because you got to know a lot about a lot of stuff. I've got the advantage of being in the car business for my day job. I actually was a technician working on cars for almost 17 years. I instruct now. I've been, like I said earlier, been in the cars as long as I've been alive. So if you are interested in cars, you do tinker on the side, you do your own work, that sort of thing. You've got a cursory understanding of cars. Then read up on what's involved. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there. The joke is I'm a YouTube certified mechanic. I mean, that stuff exists, but there's a lot of good information out there. So I would start that way, and get a car that you're interested in. Take somebody along with you who knows cars to look it over for you, so that you know what you're getting into. So you can very easily look on the outside of the car and go, "Wow, that's nice," and then when you start tearing apart, go, "Oh crap, there's more rust than you know what to do with." So it does pay to get involved with somebody who knows a little something about it.
Now, would you lean more towards? I mean, there used to be a time and place where junkyards were the most frequent thing. Now everybody's doing things online. Which way?
Well, the thing about junkyards is they are just like any other business. They need to rotate their stock.
Right.
So the modern junkyard really does pertain and really does cater to mostly newer cars within the last 20 years.
Gotcha.
It's very unusual that you'll find a junkyard that has old stuff like this. If you do find one, that's because they really appreciate old cars. They're into them themselves. They also know what they got, and you probably won't get anything cheap.
Right.
You may find what you need, but you may not find it cheap. My biggest source of parts has been two things. One, eBay, and two, friends. Friends in the old car business that are restoring cars just like I do, or into old cars like I am. That's where my biggest source of parts have come from.
What was the hardest thing for you to locate for this car?
Hardest thing to locate?
Anything really tough to find?
I'm going to say probably a couple little dumb things. The mounts for those rear sports slats, the louvers, they call them sports slats. The little mounts for those. I must have looked for 6-8 months before I actually found them.
Oh wow!
Because they're minuscule, they're just little bolts, but they're specific, particular bolts for that application. So it took me a while to find them. Because everybody wants to sell them, but they want to sell them with the whole kit.
Right.
To find them by themselves is tricky. Now somebody will probably be on there and go, "Yeah, I got 20 sets of them," or "You can go get them from here." But when I found the slats and put them on, I had a hard time finding those pieces.
Wow.
Other than that, that's probably the hardest thing. Everything else has been pretty readily available. It's just a matter of whether I want to spend the money or not. Yeah, because things are expensive.
Well, let's go the other way then. What was the priciest thing to get done?
Priciest thing. Let me think here.
I'm sure the engine's probably up there.
Well, the good thing about the engine, when I got the car, the engine had been rebuilt. And I had all the receipts, so I didn't have to really go through that. They did put too big of a cam in it for my personal taste of what I wanted to do with the car. So before I put the engine back in, I did put a different cam in it and a new type of chaining gears. So it's actually the stock cam, so that's why it runs as smooth as it runs. So the engine I didn't have to worry about. Most expensive, I guess the way to say it would be, what have I spent the most on in this car? Probably a way of saying that. I spent the most on paint and body work.
Yeah.
Yeah, paint and body work was the most expensive. I probably have over $1,000 of materials.
Oh wow.
Just paint, primer, body material, metal, all that stuff. I'd tell you the most obscure thing I found. When I say obscure, I mean I can't believe I actually found it. Which was a section. Because I had to do a little bit of metal work in the left rear quarter of this car. A little bit of rust back there, so I had to replace some metal. The piece of metal I used stock NOS quarter panel. I found it in Carlisle at the All Ford Nationals. A section of this quarter panel instead of the complete quarter panel, which would have been $1,000 or more. I got this small little section. Nobody wanted that, except for me. I gave, I think I gave $300 for it.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's probably the most obscure thing I found. So yeah, it's been it's an adventure. I mean, when you're doing a car like this, half of the fun is finding the parts and then putting the car together and all that. My most favorite thing to do is after it's in paint and after you've got all of the things ready and you start molding the car back together. That's the most enjoyable part of the whole process, besides actually getting out and driving the car.
Man. Well, Mark, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Guys, this has been Rock and Roll Union Adventures. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more episodes. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank
I want
you,
to say a
man.
big shout out to my son, Tyler, in the back.
By the way, how's it back there? Is it warm or is it getting cool? It's good.
He did great camera work in the beginning of this. So,
Absolutely.
guys, till next time, be good to each other.
See ya.
Rock on.